I'll be right back, guys.
Bye, Missy. Hi, Missy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I think my other half is joining us. I see his square up there.
Hi, Michael.
Oh, there he is.
Hello.
Heidi, Heidi, ho.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Good.
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 Beauty of having 3 back-to-back cohorts is, man, you're in the swing. And bad part is you don't get out of this seat for like 5 hours. So I'm going to get coach's spread. No, that's not good.
No,
Everybody have a good weekend?
we had a busy one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Broomfield Fair weekend. So we were doing parking in the front yard. Mike was doing the parking in the front yard.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw something about some competition you guys were a part of or something. I didn't quite understand it all. We'll have to catch up today. I thought that maybe it's coming up. I'm not sure.
Mike, that's probably you. I don't know.
Or Doc.
Doc.
Yeah, I'm not sure on what competition.
No, I thought you had a post on LinkedIn about some competition or something.
No, not that I'm
No?
aware of.
Okay. Yeah, see, I didn't understand it. It didn't make sense. Now I
No,
know why.
I-
'Cause I was off in left field.
No, I haven't. We've been pretty busy here, so I'm almost 400 posts back behind where I need to be. I haven't been
Yeah.
doing very much.
Yeah, I mean, you got to just balance it and don't worry about it, right? You can post when you can post, and you don't worry about it when you can't post because
Yep.
you're working your priorities, right?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Figuring out how many cars you can fit in the front yard.
Amen to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's the hardest challenge with the whole transition piece and being entrepreneurs is priority management. It's man, just so many things to do. How do I balance it all? What do I focus on at the right time?
I know we
How
were talking about that earlier today. Just trying to
Yeah.
get everything done.
Yeah. And then how to give yourself grace when you don't get it done.
Yeah.
Daryl's got that. Something's going on with Daryl.
Like there is no grace. You just got to get it done.
Is that right?
You got to make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, that's what drives. And I'm not trying to. How do I say this right? So in my Bunker Labs veteran in residence a couple weeks ago, we were in person. We finally met, and and I made some comment about work-life balance or life-work balance. And the gentleman was there. He started his own consulting business. He's doing really, really good. He goes, there is no balance. He says, you're working 9 days a week, 28 hours a day. It's just the way it is. I said, well, I get that. But at some point, when you do that, you lose relationships with family, you divorce, you lose health problems, so there's a whole bunch of things that can be ramification of that. So if you're willing to accept those, then yeah. But at some point you gotta have I think Mike and Missy, you guys took a day not too long ago. And I think you talked about that in a post, right?
Yeah, we
Mental
just
health day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's because we got completely ineffective. So, I mean, we push hard, and it's hard to, when you're pushing that hard to, you know,
It's
when
hard to
you're-
stop.
it's hard to stop, but it's also, you know, when there's so many different things that have to be done, you know, and you're trying to drive that, you know, build that area where you can create that revenue stream. But then what happens is, you know, you get feedback from, you know, our product is out there, you know, we got feedback, there's mistakes that have to, you know, that have stopped, you know, being able to put it out as a revenue stream until we get it corrected. And,
Yep.
you know,
And
when we
spelling
look-
and grammar kind of mistakes, like things that you were tired when you typed it up because you shouldn't have missed those. And we both looked over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, you know, scale up, you know, we're at scale up now. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a matter of, you know, realizing how much you can do here. And if you're doing only that, then you're not doing anything else.
That's
So
right.
that becomes difficult.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, hey, great to be back together with you. It's been a while since I've been in this group, like 6 weeks with my trip to Cleveland and then my John Maxwell conference. And I'm actually off camping tomorrow. So for the next 10 days. So it's
Enjoy.
great to slide this in and get together with you.
Mhm.
So it's been jamming some stuff over the last week. And so, but we're getting there. We're packing the trailer in between meetings today. So
Busy, busy.
yeah, the wife's looking at me like, this is my priority, so therefore it's your priority.
Mhm. Yep.
Got it. I was
Yeah.
walking down to pick up my trailer at 5:30 this morning because we had to park it by the pool. bring it back to the neighborhood before our 7 o'clock. Well, hey, I'm interested in catching up. Any big announcements? Not talking wins and challenges yet, right? Just big announcements. Usually in the other groups we're talking about, you know, jobs, stuff like that. But any big things just to celebrate right off the top? Again, not all the wins and challenges, just anything big. I mean, you just said, Mike, you're into scale up. That's huge. Yeah.
And we have a potential investor we're trying
yeah?
to get through the contract on. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That is
Okay.
huge. That is huge. Daryl, last time we talked, you were pushing hard on deliverable.
I'm still pushing hard. That's what I'm working on right now. I've got to have this thing done like in the next couple hours so I can have at least the first revision done,
Okay.
right? But I had to go back and redo a lot of the data. So that was like the biggest issue. Tedious and you know, making sure that those comparisons are right. That's what I'm working on right now. I got to get this done and out along with all the notes that I've, you know, all the notes covering the changes that I've made. So,
Excellent.
and yeah, and then they asked me if I was interested in something else as well. So I'm like, okay, cool, awesome. But if I don't do this right, then the other things are not going to follow. So
That's right. There you go. Priority, right?
yeah, yep.
Anything big with you, Latricia?
Yeah, I guess for me, because recruiting has been like my Achilles heel. So I've actually made a lot of progress with in the recruiting arena. I've been using LinkedIn a lot more, navigating, using, you know, the hashtags with the open for work and networking and, you know, figuring out the give and take approach, seeing how I can help others and just establishing relationships and stuff and going from there. And I actually was able to get 3 recruits from that.
Okay.
All right.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Now, when you say recruits, is this teammates or is this more of a?
Yeah, it's teammates, people to join my team.
All right. Congrats. That's huge.
Good stuff. Yep.
Yeah. All right. And Shirley is on. Shirley, we're just catching up with everybody. If there's any big wins, you know, not wins and challenges yet, but any big victories like new clients, you know, Mike and Missy are talking, they moved into scale up. Anything big happening for you? Again, not the normal wins and challenges we're going to touch on shortly.
Yeah, I completed, well, I'm almost complete with my signature program
All right.
for my coaching business. So it's coming along pretty good.
All right. Are you following somebody? Mentor, coach, program?
Yes, I'm actually following she's a retired major from the
Okay.
Army, and she's actually a millionaire who
All right.
put her coaching business together, and she actually had a mastermind that I belong to. And
Very
so she's been giving us a lot of good stuff. I think today we're getting together to talk ads. They're going to show us about how to develop ads, how to put out ads. So it's going to be my
Excellent.
first time. So we'll see. And of course, you know, I'm looking at the John Maxwell too. So I'm very interested.
Yep, yep. Well, good. I think Sanita was trying to reach out to you. I haven't seen if you guys connected.
We did. We did.
Good, good. Well, Daryl's in the program too. So if you want to get any perspective from him as he
Mhm.
started, you
Yeah.
already got it from me on where I'm at. So, so,
Awesome.
yeah, my big victory is I think since I last talked, I bought into a program, Premier Excel, actually a couple John Maxwell team members. And we are just like what you said about your signature offer. I am, as of this morning, 4:45, I was talking to a guy in Hamburg, Germany, one of my coaches, and laying it all out. And he gave me some pieces to document it further. So I'm getting to the point of documenting each of the different videos I'm going to be making, and then how I'm going to put that in a beta launch and launch that here in the next month.
All
So
right.
yeah, so I'm excited.
That
All
sounds
right.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So what I was talking to the other groups about was values. And have you guys looked before kind of into the values that you have? So here's the question. When you're looking for a job in corporate, you're always looking at the values of the company, and are my values in line with their values? Yours is a little bit different being an entrepreneur.
Mhm.
Is your client's values in line with your values?
Yep.
Sometimes when we're just getting started, we think, well, I'll take anybody who's breathing as a client, right?
Mhm.
But then all of a sudden you'll get in with a client and it's like, oh my God, I don't ever want to work with this person again. Just something's not right. And being able to pin that early on in the conversation is important. Know who you want to work with and who you don't want to work with. Again, when you're beginning, been there, still there in some respects. You work with anybody you can.
Mhm.
But at some point you want to get to be where you work with the right people who really energize you, who you click with. Have you guys thought about that at all?
I know Mike's
Mhm.
really good at intrinsically knowing what's important in that client relationship and who he won't work with, especially. I'm a little more guilty of like, I don't care, just somebody show up, but he's much more discerning. You want to
Okay.
share some of that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think just, I think I know what I want, and I want where I want my products to be, or I want Missy and I's products to be. And you're right, the synergetic relationships that bring energy into it, and taking a look at what are you getting for the value, of working with the client. It's not just their money. It's the feedback that you're getting back from the client for the whole project, right? Are you taking something away from it that is going to make what you're doing better? Is it a project that you want to get into that has longevity and growth and in an area that you want to be in? For me, I think the biggest part of it is, am I dealing with honest people who say what they believe, and I'm kind of an old kind of school guy. A handshake is the deal and your word is your bond. That's it.
Right.
That's the bottom line. So I don't do well with people that are not, yes, make $1, and grow your business and everything else like that. But the ability to bring other people along where you don't look at everybody that you have a relationship with in business as a dollar sign. And if you do that, then you're in the wrong approach. You're what you do for somebody today that you give away essentially creates that bond to have them come back to you later on with maybe an actual client that says, these are the people that you want to work with. These are reputable, people that, you should trust at face value. Their price is right. Their value is correct. They're honest people. And your dollar sign isn't always going to be today. It's going to be down the road sometimes. So I think it's just a matter of there's people that when I look at, building that relationship with, I just know, yes, that feels good, or no, it doesn't. And, so I think it doesn't matter whether you're military background or not. You can just kind of discern through some of that. For me, I can.
That's
I know
good.
So,
And sometimes it's readily apparent. Sometimes it's those little things, right? When you were talking about that, you made me think about when I was with Booz Allen. I went to a Department of Energy contract, and we were up on site in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And this was what we were doing is the government said, we want to reduce the cost of this contract. They were paying $1.8 billion a year to run this nuclear site at Y-12. How do we reduce that? And the proposal was a bunch of reductions of manpower. And I wasn't even in the proposal period. I got hired right at the very end before execution. And my focus was one of them was the security area. One was the infrastructure area, right? Makes sense. So I go to meet the 06. He's a retired Air Force colonel, security forces guy. So I thought we had been similar type of work. His first kind of introduction to me from his team was, this is Don Gleason. He's here to rape us of all the people we have and try to, and I had been fighting to get a meeting with him, and I just couldn't get there. And that typified pretty much the next 2 years. And I was just like, why did I stick around and bang my head on that wall for another 2 years? And then when I was in a meeting with the infrastructure guy, he I can't remember the exact way it came out, but when I was supposed to give up and get a 5-minute talk about what we're doing. And he made some joke, and I was the butt of the joke, right? It was all about the same kind of thing. And I was like, why am I staying here to bang my head against the wall for these people? But I was trying to do it for the Booz Allen and the mission. But there was another guy who came into my team, and I brought him in on Wednesday, and I ended up flying up to Kansas City on Friday for my kid's birthday or something like that. And I get in the middle of the meal, I get a text message. I've quit the team. I'm no longer coming back up. This is not where I want to work. And I was just like, what happened?
You got it quicker.
Yeah, what didn't align? Give me a feel. He would not communicate with me again. Period. He resigned and was done. So I kind of walked away that night. A, kind of ticked, but B, kind of, why am I hanging on?
Yeah, I think, you know what, and Donna, I'll allude to this only because I think we've done it from our military backgrounds. You hope for the best. You bring something into the equation that says, no matter how bad it is, I have what you need to affect the change. And because of all of our military backgrounds, we look at it and say, no matter how bad it is, there's a process. No matter how bad it is, I can look for the goods in it, and I can deliver something. The problem is that we're not in the military anymore. So you bring that attitude into the equation, except you're playing in an equation where nobody else has that. Nobody brought that to the table. You brought it because you're like, oh, I can do something good.
Yeah.
So you hang in, you have hope. But at the end of the day, it's just another machine. It's the military. It grinds you up and spits you out and moves on to the next person. Well, big business does the same thing. And so you're just a little cog in that, trying to do the best that you can. So I think that's one of the, the things where, we see it.
The question
And I can't, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Missy.
I was going to say, yeah, I can tell you as a civilian being married to the military husband, we balance each other out really well. First of all, it's not that I don't trust anyone, but I'm more skeptical, and I'm going to read the contract, and I'm going to be the person who says I need it in writing. If I think it's the pumpkin patch that talks about being able to fire clients, that you get rid of the worst and you keep the best, because in the end, that's much better for your business. But
That's
like
right.
the person you worked with, I've walked a job. I had been a full-time temp where I would go out on assignment sometimes for months. And, you know, someone was having a baby or we had a project that needed to be done and I'd go out and do that. And I walked into a architect's office one day and I had been yelled at before the end of the day. And he left for a meeting and I turned to the one other person in the office and said, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this. Sorry, this
Yeah.
isn't the right match. I won't stay here for 4 months and put up with that.
There you go. And you kind of went exactly where I was going to ask the question is, how do we take what we just talked about, right? Our military background, our military can-do attitude. We're going to nug through it. We're going to make this work. How does that work for us and against us in our values, right? Because kind of what Mike just said was, we get up against something in our business, right? And you just keep pushing on that wall, pushing on that wall, pushing on that wall. Do we back up and say, maybe there's another approach? Maybe I don't need to bang on this wall. Maybe I don't need to work with this client. How does that work for us and against us? Latricia, looked like you were going to say something.
Yeah, I think that it goes back to a conversation that I was having with one of my previous airmen not too long ago, because she's at a crossroads where she's not been happy with, you know, working in logistics for a while now. But because of the economy, she's thinking about staying. But I was like, mentally, it's probably not the best thing for you. I was like, and because I know your history, I was like, I think you're going to be okay regardless. I was like, sometimes we got to know that we're going to be okay just walking away from the situation and stuff, and outweighing the pros and the cons. What is it going to do to me mentally and physically if I stay in this situation? And weighing the overall outcome. Is it worth me staying if it's going to be to the detriment of me mentally and physically? And if the answer is no, then it's time to walk away.
So here, this is that interesting piece. And thank you for the way you just put that. So I'm working at Y12. I'm there almost 3+ years, going through this, banging on this wall. And we had 4 of us as senior associates, and we kept trying to work together. But it was interesting. The 4 of us, though, it was apparent to the people we weren't working together. One of us would implement something, and somebody else would change it, and then somebody else would change that. And it's like we were just in this spin, and I was just getting really tired of it. So then I'm at our Christmas party in December of 2017, and one of those guys walks over to me and says, "You know, the team is giving me feedback that they really love your ideas. They just wish you would go implement them." And I'm thinking back, every time I implement them, you change them and you change them. And it was just like, at that point, it was just done. The rest of that party, I just knew it was over. And at 5 the next morning, I sent a note to my VP and said, "Gleason decision. Can I have a meeting with you this morning?" And at 10 o'clock, I said, "Somewhere over the next 6 months, I'll give you 6 months. But I'm going to transition off this project. So I'm giving you time that we can do the transition and work different things, but I'm done. I'm not going to be doing this anymore." And it's amazing how, just like you said, Latricia, sometimes it just clicks.
So Don, like, I really like that story because I really can relate. That's very similar to what happened to me back in June when
Is
I
that right?
pivoted. And so it's been on my mind. I'm like, what do you think happened in that environment? Was it that the communication wasn't clear, or do you think that in one way, shape, or form they were sabotaging? Like, because that happened to me too. And I'm like, well, you say you like my ideas, but then when I put it, then now you're putting me out there in front of everybody, like, is wrong. That is something so that I was just so perplexed.
Yeah, it's a great question. But the 2 thoughts that I just thought of was separate agendas, individual agendas. And I think 2 is separate values. You know,
Yep.
when I can sit down in a meeting and we can agree and we can write it up and say, this is what we're going to do tomorrow. And we start moving that direction. And somebody says, no, that's not what we said. You know, some of it's communication issues. I get that. But some of it was just like, we made this very apparent. We
Yeah.
agreed on it. We wrote it down. We had it on the board. There should have been no community. We repeated it to each other. And I think it was partly values. And I think like Mike said, it's different on the corporate side.
Yeah, I think the other thing too is if you're in a situation where you're not big on letting other people have credit, right?
Mm.
You can't put your name to the block of the idea. It's not yours.
No, that's a good
That you're
point.
self-serving.
Yeah, you're
That's
still
true.
serving, right? So Don comes up with a great idea. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but you don't have cohesion within the team. You work with 4 different people in a cell. It's like a command group, right? No matter in a command group, you're supposed to have a united front when you come out to the troops,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Well,
But
that
we
was me.
Right, exactly. You were retired as a colonel, so you have your sergeant majors in your command group that says, this is how it's going to be. And I'm sitting in there as a sergeant major and I'm just like, no, I don't agree. But when we walk out of the door, everybody's like, yep, okay. But that's not what happens, because you have those folks that will sideline a second effort and it'll be like, yeah, Colonel said we're going to do this, but, and immediately
Yep.
you sideline that objective. And so you don't end up with that united front, and you see, so that undermines the authority of, say, Don as a colonel in the command position, and it provides a wedge into the teaming arrangement that says, oh, well, if you do this for me,
Yeah.
I'm there, I'll take care of you. And you wedge out the leadership. You create that wedge inside of that leadership circle.
Mhm.
And then it becomes, well, then who knows who farther up? Well, look at what we came up with, and then so now you're talking about toxic leadership. You're talking about manipulation. You're talking about, self-serving people who don't have the same values, or quite honestly, just don't care. There's no
Yeah.
empathy. So you end up with
Yeah.
somebody that works on one side and is really trying to serve the organization. You have others that are just serving the machine, and you're not
Yeah.
actually creating anything at the end that's worthwhile. And I know the project you're talking about down there, because Missy and I both went to Y2 for radiation training down there at
Right.
ORAC. So I know exactly where that facility is and stuff like that. And so, I think one of the other things that Don touched on too is understanding the pecking order in the chain, right? So like if you're running your own show, then essentially you get to set the rules, right? Surely you don't want to work with somebody, you don't have to work with them, right? Military is a little different. We're all in the military here, and everybody, Don's the colonel, he says, you're all going to play well together. No, I'm not. I can't stand Daryl. I don't like him. I don't like the way, he parts his hair. I don't like the way he marches. I don't like the way he talks to troops. I don't like him. Curly and Letitia, I really like you guys. So, if you help me, I'm going to help you. So you push out, either, depending on how that structure works. We are now in a situation where we don't have to take clients. We just ended up in a situation we were, I want to say we thought we were desperate, but we weren't desperate. We had an investor. We
There
thought
you
it was
go.
going to be good. And explained our process for our patent to somebody who should have really been like, wow, that's great. Didn't get it.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, have a nice day. Bye.
Yeah.
And we literally sent out an email and we're like, yeah, we're not interested in moving farther. You just said, and we found another investor, smaller package, much more aligned, much more. And I think this is the thing with entrepreneurship.
Yeah. I'm gonna cut you off in about 20 seconds.
Sorry, I gotta jump out of here anyways, Don, because I gotta go to an appointment. But
Okay.
your investment, the people that you sent, you turn around and come back to, people that do tangible things and intangible things for your business. Like I said, if you treat everybody like a dollar bill, then you got it,
Yep. Yep.
it won't work. So, all
Yeah.
right, listen, I gotta get out of
Be-
here, guys.
Before you
But
leave,
I'll-
just
yeah.
the wrap up piece is think about values. Make sure you know your values, because we don't always get to think about our values. We normally just grab them from the organization we're in, the military or the unit. So think about your values, because it's going to be important with you when you're doing business with folks, your partners, your collaborators, your clients. Do they have the same values? Are you going to operate the same way? Right? Are the right things important to you? So just wanted to sum that up before you take off, Doc.
Yep, I appreciate it.
thanks-
Have a
thanks
good
for
one,
being here.
guys.
All right, take
Listen,
care.
I'll take up the
Yeah.
rest of it. Have a good one. Hey,
All right.
be well.
You too. All right, wins and challenges. Latricia, let's dig deeper. Wins and challenges.
Wins and challenges. I continue to, of course, work on setting new monthly goals for myself as I
right.
progress in the business. And so far it's working. I created a vision board so that some of my goals and stuff are more visible and more in the forefront of my mind to keep me focused and stuff. And
Excellent.
then just continuing to work on, I've actually created more of a daily schedule, so I have allotted time to do certain things in my business as well. So just plugging right along, those are some big wins for me, because as we know, time management was at one time a challenge for me.
Yeah. Any challenges besides that, the time management piece, which you seem to be doing well? Any other
No,
challenges?
The challenge, not on my financial services side, but with the business that I have with my wife, the challenge is getting her to understand that, hey, we're here to help clients. But so she's back at that stage where she's giving away products, and she has a good heart just like I do, but we can't give away all the products because we got to make a profit.
Yeah. There's that question of what's a lost lead that's going to come back and produce more, and what's just
So-
going to be lost, period.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
it's
That's a good
not
question.
a big challenge, but it is a challenge.
Okay. All right, Shirley, catch us up.
So wins, like I said, I'm finishing up my signature
Signature.
program. I'm gonna be launching a masterclass event here pretty soon. And so I've already done my landing page.
All right.
I have to put it out there. I think, and I've registered my LLC and waiting for that so that I can open up a business account. My other wins is that I went into a partnership with my aunt to invest in multifamily properties, and we're about to close on our first one, so that's really
right.
good. And I registered my LLC, our LLC, with that. My challenges are, and this is something that I've been learning through my entrepreneurial journey, is that when you are on a journey to reach that goal, you are going to encounter so many distractions. It's unbelievable, right? Distractions about, shiny objects or other things, or even people then want to call you and have you go here or join them in their business venture or whatnot. And just have to keep focused. That's my thing. And then of course, even though I do follow through with my goals, I need to follow through on the date that I put out the date. Like, this is the date, that's when I need to, do it. So those are the challenges that I've been working through very much. And so just taking it one thing at a time, but then not getting too distracted where now I'm spending more time doing other things that is just busy stuff.
Yeah. Oh boy, that's a big one. We might come back to that one. That is a huge one. Missy.
Shirley, Mike calls those the good idea fairies.
Mhm.
And when we get distracted, he tells me to kill the good idea fairy and go bury her in the backyard. So we of course had a crazy week last week here in Broomfield. We have 3 times a year through May, July, and September. We have something known as the Broomfield Fair, and it is the largest antique swap meet outdoor event in the country. We bring in 65 to 100,000 people into this town of only 2,300 people during those events. And the benefit is that we have about an acre of front yard. So we are right at the fair entrance. So we park people on the yard. It's exhausting. There's no time to do anything else. So you kind of lose the week. The good news from that is that it's cash.
Mhm.
And right now, as we've needed cash, that's been very nice. So we had a good week with that,
Good.
as oddly business related as it is, but you don't get anything else done. As Mike mentioned, we're working on scale up for the kits. We kind of a win-loss. We now know what they should be priced at, which is the win. The loss being that our initial thought process on the price is way off, and we should probably be at about double of what we were to actually have a profitability, let alone to be able to wholesale anything.
Okay.
We do have
But oh my God, at this point, that lesson was incredibly valuable and fairly early on.
yes, and so that's
Yeah.
kind of what I said. It's sort of
Mhm.
talked with the printer this past a couple days, and he gave us kind of some final price points. We already had established some of the cost on the other parts of it, like packaging. And so yesterday we could sit down and go, oh, and it creates some other things, like quit calling it a sticker and call it a kit, because then if you have a $12 sticker, it seems expensive. If you have a $12 kit, it actually seems quite reasonable.
That's right.
So it becomes things like changing literally just the label that's on the front part of the package from saying hospital handover sticker to a hospital handover kit
Good.
or pre-hospital handover kit. And so it's just about change of perception and a little bit of remarketing.
Yeah.
And yes, like you said, it is nice to figure that one out very early and not further into the process and go, hey, we're losing money.
Yeah.
So
Good for
that's
you.
kind of been one of the bigger things. We're working still on some connections and some teaming options. I think our biggest things right now still are some organization. I'm on my laptop right now because, again, my desktop's looks like it exploded on my floor in my office. So, and this time it's a little more challenging than I wanted it to be. So, thankfully I have another device to be on right now.
Oh,
But it might make me scream.
okay.
We're still working on some of that basic business paperwork. We still do not have a pitch deck together. We still do not have our business plan written. We have people who have stepped up to help us with it, and trying to get back to that management of priorities. In our
Yep.
household, we have some challenges with must be done and needs to be done.
Yeah. That's a tough one, isn't it? Yep. Needs and wants.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Good
yeah,
summary.
we don't back off on that one real well.
Yeah. That's why I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is try to get so much of that stuff, at least in draft up front.
Yeah.
A lot of times go back to the E-myth. We're technicians. We want to get in and start doing the work, right? Whether it's HR, whether it's reproduction, whether it's coaching, whether it's finance, we want to just get in and start serving clients. And then we haven't figured out the business model and the pricing and what are our values, what's our real mission, how are we going to build up, what's our processes? Processes is huge. So
And I think,
Matt and I are continuing to work on that one. And we're 2.5 years in. So
yeah, and I can say because of differences in personality and background, there's some challenges when I'm saying we need to do some of the back end stuff and Mike's saying we need to do some of the front end stuff. And we're having this conversation of some of the front end stuff can't happen until I get some of the back end stuff. And I think my biggest challenge is I have yet to figure out how to have a 30-hour day and clone a second one of me.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Physical impossibilities.
Mhm.
All right. Good summaries. Good summaries. I want to keep moving here.
Yeah.
Daryl.
Well, it's the same stuff as usual. So,
Okay.
just focusing and being disciplined, getting rid of the distractors. And for me, that's really just kind of like what Teresa said. It's like, okay, here's my list of stuff and it's visible. And that is my focus. Anything else is a distraction, really. It doesn't deserve attention. At this point, until those things I'm focusing on, cease to work or don't work as well as I want them to. So
Okay.
it's really focus, getting rid of distractions and just getting down to the work.
Yeah. So distractions has come up with a number of us.
Mhm.
Is that worth discussing? The spotlight? Are you guys feeling like you're being victorious on it, or is it something you want to get some Missy shaking her head? Sound like she could use some input.
Yeah, it's a huge thing for us right now.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
for me too.
Okay.
I definitely think that it's a topic to be discussed, because I think even our last meeting, it was kind of along the same lines of
Mhm.
organization and distraction. So I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah. Well, what was the
Mhm.
conversation last time on our organization?
So we were supposed to
Yeah, go
go ahead.
ahead, Missy.
That was kind of what we were supposed to come back and talk about this week, but you had missed that. But where we were all having some trouble with even just some of the basic organizational things that mess with our sanity
When you say
and being able
basic,
to. Yeah, and so I know for me, sitting right in front of me right now is a pile of physical business paperwork that needs to go into this binder. And part of the reason it needs to go in the binder is I'm looking for a piece of paper to make a phone call about why in the world still I can't do federal tax stuff online. Mike got his number and mine didn't come through. And I got a piece of paper that said, you have to call us. And now I'm like, I know that piece of paper's in there.
okay. Okay.
Good luck trying to get a hold of them.
Oh, well, that too. No, that I know. Yeah. Isn't
Yeah.
that the truth?
Yeah. Matt didn't give me the heads up on the organization. You guys are supposed to come
That's
back
okay.
to talk today.
That's okay.
I'll talk to him on that one. So distractions. Give me some specifics on distractions. What does it mean to be a distraction?
Married to mine.
Mhm.
Okay. You can be different personalities, right?
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
styles. That's one of the reasons we do the disc. And Missy and Mike, you guys have completed
know.
the disc. We haven't debriefed.
We
them, but
haven't, I know.
I know you guys are scrambling, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep putting it out there, and I'm ready whenever
Yes.
you. But understanding each other's personality. Matt and I have been very apparent that we are totally different personalities, and we still struggle a little bit. I think he thinks it's going a little bit better than I do, but but we're still
That
trying to
sounds
learn.
familiar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still trying to learn each other and what we can expect, what we can't. So personalities is one, of different priorities. What else?
I would say when you're focusing on something and then you start getting phone calls for other projects and you feel like committed and just people trying to steer you away from like what you need to be finished. And even when you tell them, hey, look, I'm focusing on this, like I'm trying to launch my stuff, it's like they're still trying to, and it's like, it's a good idea, but I just cannot do it right now.
Mhm.
I think
Or
that's
even,
what
Saying no, huh?
yeah. I think that's
Right.
giving up the good for the best. Yeah. And it's
right,
not easy.
yeah. Or even sometimes, for me, and for some of us, we can be our own worst enemy, because then we put more stuff on ourselves that we think is going to help us, but then it just kind of gears us somewhere else. And so I've had to be very disciplined in discerning the things that should stay because they're going to complement my business, and then other things that are just busy work
Mhm.
that you might think is actual work, but it's busy work.
Yep.
And it's just eating up the time, the precious time you have to work on
Yeah.
the nucleus of things.
Yeah. I'm going to throw another one out there. And since we're all in this business now and we're all on LinkedIn, right? Is how many times a day do you get the call, the note that says, can I get 15 minutes of your time?
Oh,
I
no.
got a marketing tool that will help you. I've got a sales tool. I can get you 10 clients a day, 10 calls on potential clients a day. And Daryl, you just said, oh no.
Oh, no, I stopped that about a month ago. I was like, well, I don't care what it is, what the source is. I don't care if it's a spam call. I don't care if it's an email. I don't care if it's LinkedIn. I've got like 3 main sources that can help me with marketing right now at like all different levels. So I don't need any more new platforms. I don't need any apps. It's like, no,
Done.
no. Not until at least I
yeah.
try consistently and measure the results over at least 3 to 6 months with at least one of these platforms. But
Good for you.
without at the beginning, it was like, oh yeah, let me sit down with you and have a 30-minute demo with this platform and do this free webinar with Mike or freaking what is it, LinkedIn lead generation, where we'll automate all your stuff and we'll answer these people for you and all. I'm just like, now I just got to the point where it's like, no, I really don't care about anything you have to say if you mention marketing to me.
There you go.
Like, I have like 3 right now, and that is good. We got the John Maxwell piece,
Mhm.
right? We got, and I use predictive index. That's the other piece. And then I'm
Okay.
also, speaking with that business advisor. So it's like right now I'm good, and I just need to actually do it and be consistent and see if it works. If they don't work, then okay, maybe I need to look elsewhere. But
Yep.
right now, oh no.
Yeah. Sometimes that inability to say no can work against us. I love what you just said. You got to a point where it's like you were right here and you
Yep,
said done.
done. Yep.
and
So
And some
that's
of
what
that
it is.
is-
It's like even
yeah.
LinkedIn now. I mean, at least at one point on LinkedIn, I was getting like legitimate invitations to connect. Now it's like, hey, just want to know if you have a few minutes to, talk about this or discuss this. And it's like, oh no. No.
Hey,
You
and
didn't
Mike
even
and I
look at
have
my site.
very
I
different
have a
person.
web page,
Yeah.
right? It's like, it's like evidently you didn't even do your homework. So
That's right. That's right. That drives me nuts. I've had it lately. People kept saying that LinkedIn has turned into like a pickup,
yeah.
Yeah.
and I
I've
hadn't
been
hardly
there.
seen. I hadn't
As
hardly seen it.
women,
Well,
as women, we get hit on.
It's now going the other way too. So I've got the same young lady from China has sent me a picture with 4 different companies in the last 3 weeks. And it's just kind of, hi, how are you today? Or, how was your weekend? And it was just like, and she's got like 5 connections. It's like disconnect.
Yeah.
It's like, really? So
Then the other
where's-
piece to that is like, I don't want to contaminate my other connections on LinkedIn either. So
yeah.
it's like, so definitely not. It's like, if you're on LinkedIn and you're asking me about marketing, I will definitely not add you because I don't want you going to my
Yep.
connections and have, and,
Yep.
bothering them, those
Yeah.
individuals. So it's,
Yeah.
nope.
So Latricia and Shirley, just going to go back to what Daryl just said on being able to say no. Have you got to
Yeah.
that point? Have you got to that point where you just,
Oh, yeah.
you know what you want, you know what you don't want?
Oh, yeah, especially like he said on LinkedIn. I've started learning how to say no a lot more, especially in my line of business, because I have like insurance companies and everybody else
Mhm.
trying to hire me or trying to get me to help them with cold calls and everything else. So
Nope.
Yeah. I had 3 different coaches said, hey, would you like to join me in my coaching business? Get yourself started. And I actually tried to have some calls with them and they ghosted me and they all kinds of, it was like, done. You're gonna be kidding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
Shirley, how about yourself?
well, for me, like at first I used to feel a little guilty because some other people that are asking me to go on board with them or asking me for these other projects are people that I know, right? Or people that we've bonded and created relationships. And You know, at one point, you know, I started getting a little like disgruntled, like, why am I doing this to myself? You know, and now it's like, no, we're just, I can't. Like right now, I need to focus on this, you know. But I used to feel guilty, and I'm like, they're not thinking of me in that sense. They're thinking about their own project and what they want to, you know, form. And I'm here like being the sacrificial lamb.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, no, I'm not dealing with that anymore.
How about this one? Somebody gets together and you say, and you like, I'm going to pick several John Maxwell team members. We've come together. We've said, let's hold each other accountable and move forward in our business. And then the conversation becomes just chatting.
Mhm.
And just know and we try to say, hey, let's steer back to accountability.
Mhm.
And we agree, but then we don't move there. And we're not willing to hold each other accountable. How do you end up saying no? How do you walk out of that?
Offer them an
me-
agenda.
Yeah.
Let's structure this thing next time. I dealt with that like a few months ago. It's like, because you get on, it's like jaw jacking like all day. It's like, and you're not accomplishing anything. It's like, it's great to have that like personal relationship, but now it's not the time and place for that. Now it's like, we need to discuss business. We need to discuss, you know, solutions or whatever the case may be, next projects. But it's like, we need to come up with an agenda. So we're not sitting here for an hour and 15 or an hour and 20 minutes and spoke about 15 minutes
Nothing.
about what we really needed to speak about. So
Yep.
let's create an agenda. We'll stick with the agenda. We can have 5 minutes of niceties, and then somebody's got to actually take charge of the meeting and roll forward.
Yep. Yep. That's
And I
exactly
think
right.
after a point, if they don't, then as politely as you can, you say, this group isn't serving my need right now,
Mhm.
and it's taking away from the time I have.
Yep.
Yep. I've got two of those accountability partners that I can't get them onto an agenda. And I just decided yesterday we're done.
Yep.
And unfortunately, one of them is some good business partners who've actually got a nice business. I'm working with them on another project right now, but it's like, I just don't have the time. Because like, it was like last night at 6 o'clock, we get together for our weekly call. He
Mhm.
shoots me a note at 6:01. Oh, sorry, I'm not going to make it tonight. I'm in Miami with a
Mhm.
client. It's like, you didn't know that. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here waiting for you.
Yeah.
You didn't know you were flying to Miami until right now when you
Mhm.
got there? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Even my bunker lab veterans in residence has just been really unorganized.
Mm.
And, we had agreed to move to Wednesday. So I moved my date night with my wife to Tuesday. And all of a sudden they decided this week to move it back to Tuesday. So
Yep.
they're pressuring me to be
Yeah.
there tonight. And I'm like, sorry, I got theater tickets because we moved to Tuesday.
Yeah.
No, it's
Exactly.
like stuff. And I'm like, am I really getting value out of this? The same thing. Are we? So I'm about ready.
Well,
Drop
and then
out
it
of that
becomes a
too.
lack of respect.
That's
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So all of those things we just talked, and we got to watch our time. We got about another 4 or 5 minutes on this before we hit the closing accountability. knowing what it is you want, the time that you're going to focus in, and realizing that there's everybody else going to be wanting time, and you just say no.
Mhm.
And then you got to let that goes back to the word you said, Shirley. I felt guilty. We got to figure out how to get that guilt out. Is nope, I'm on my signature offer. I've got time to do this and this and this, and I don't have time to do any of that. I don't need it. I don't want your sales pitch.
Mhm.
And just be able to say, no, there's that feature on LinkedIn at the bottom. Thank you for thanks you for talking to me, but no, thank you at this time. Click,
Mhm.
done, disconnect, gone. And it has to be just out of your head
Mhm.
at that point. It's easier said than done, but that's gotta, right? You just gotta let it go and move to the next thing.
Yeah. Or
Agree?
even just
Disagree?
have like a really like, I don't want to say direct, but just being forthcoming with people, especially if you have relationships with them, Shirley, and like they're asking you to do these things, and you don't want to lose the relationship, and you don't want to lose the opportunity either. But you know, maybe it's like saying, you know, that's really an interesting thing, and it genuinely might be, but I just can't do that right now. Like maybe in a few months, you know, we can talk about it again, but right now my focus is on like these 3 to 5 or 7 things or whatever it is. And I you know, I'm sorry, but I just don't have time. And thank you for the offer. And it's really interesting. And maybe we can talk about it later, but yeah, it's, you gotta,
Yeah, I've had the church
otherwise
come.
it's like, yeah.
I've had the church come and talk to me about being a deacon or even an elder, and it's just like, I'm running 2 companies. I'm on 2 boards. I don't have time, and that's not in my top priority. Thank you very much, but
Tough.
maybe somewhere in the
And-
future.
I had to
Don,
take
on
2
a-
days off this weekend.
Yeah, go ahead, Missy.
Hey, I was just saying to end the thought, just remember Mary Kay always said that you use charm, and charm lets tell somebody where to go and make sure they enjoy the trip.
There you go. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's a good way
Pretend
to
you're
say
from the
it.
South and you haven't burned a bridge. So if an opportunity, especially if it's a potential customer for later or client or someone you would work with, if you have someone that's really terrible though, just reach out to me and I will channel every bit of the redhead I have, and you will not hear from them again. I promise. I will scare them right off. I've had more than one person walk into a room
Mhm.
while I've had that kind of conversation and go, oh dear
Mhm.
God, I hope I'm never on the other end of that phone call. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to touch one more thing. Busy work.
Mhm.
How do you know what's busy work and what's not?
We struggle with that in this household.
Mhm.
And yeah,
Mhm.
like I said, though, we really struggle with has to be done now and can wait later.
Mhm.
So we bump heads on that a lot.
I think it's easier said than done, but I would start from like a project management standpoint. And it's like, okay, so these are the tasks, or this is the objective. And these, like, during like a work breakdown structure. It's
Yeah,
like,
and a timeline.
this is
That's a
like the
great
goal.
idea.
And these are the things that have to be done in order to reach that goal. And that is it. Anything
I
else
can-
is like fluff.
Oh, Daryl, I'd hug you right now if I could, because that's perfect because he thinks that way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Virtual
Yeah,
hug.
if it's not directly
Yeah.
related to something or moves you closer, then it's like really, I mean, it might be great to like watch a YouTube video on marketing or whatever, or data analysis, but it's like, that's not the focus right now. It's like, well, it's related to it. It's interesting. It's like, might be something I need. It's like, no, not right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because surely you're talking about, right? My signature offer, my launch, right? What it
Mhm.
is I'm going to talk about. And anything that's not in that path, right? Does
Mhm.
that mean it's a distraction?
It can be, because I've seen myself a couple, sometimes working on my signature offer, and then I get an email that is important,
Mhm.
that I need to adhere to, but then that's gonna take my time. And then without even knowing it, like subconsciously, I just start with the email, and then I'm there for like 10 minutes and I'm like, I need
Yep,
to be working
What
on
am I
this.
doing?
And, like, it's
exactly.
so
Yep,
crazy, so-
exactly. It's
Yeah.
like ding, ding, ding. It's like, oh, click. It's like,
Yeah.
here we go again. That's why
Yeah.
when a couple of months ago, I tried to do this, and I'm getting sucked back into those old habits, but 3 times a day is like email, like first thing in the morning, 11 or 12 o'clock, and at the end of the day, and that's it. But it's hard to do that because some business people or some people in general, they think just because we live in this electronic technological age that you're like on call and you should be
Mhm.
responding like within 30 seconds. And it's
Yep.
like, you can't get work done and you can't do deep work or, do really focused work if you're being interrupted by ding dings and dopamine hits and like all these other things like every 15 minutes. So at some point you just got to say, or maybe explain, like, I only check my email like 3 times a day, if you're working closely with that person. But if you're not, then it's
Yeah.
Yep.
Even
thing-
even
yeah.
with social media, like if you're utilizing social media to put your business out there, like I've had to take a break from social media. There's just too much stuff that gets you sucked in. And even with LinkedIn, there's weeks that I go without even opening it because I know I'm gonna get sucked into something, or a
Mhm.
friend is hitting me up, or one of the veteran organizations that I'm part of, that then you feel compelled to like, answer. I'm like, nope, I don't want to know about Facebook, IG. I'm taking a break.
Yep.
Like I'm
Yep.
cleansing myself from that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
call it my
that's-
social media detox.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Exactly. And maybe that's
Then
like
I
an
have people reaching
evening
out
type
to
of
me
thing,
via, and I have people reaching out to me via text asking if I'm okay when I disappear from social media.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's an
And if you-
evening thing. You have a cup of coffee or a cup of tea in the evening or whatever, or a glass of wine, whatever it is, like after 7 or 8 o'clock and you're winding down, and maybe that's the social media time. But the rest of the day, it's
Yeah.
like, no, because like you said, you get sucked into too many things. Oh, that's a cool video. Oh, and then it's like, who are these people? And you start looking at Wikipedia pages and their discography, and it's like, oh no,
To take,
rabbit hole.
to take
Uh-huh.
Daryl's idea, right? If we can figure out this is my objective,
Mhm.
these are the things I gotta do. Anything else not on those is a distraction.
Not during my work hours,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right?
And then
My
I-
work hours, like from 8 until like 5:30 or 6, like those are my work hours. So outside of that, it's like, okay, I can,
And then
mess around a little bit, but
Yeah, and then you schedule those. So there's 4 things you got to do, right? From 8 to 10, I'm doing 1. From 10 to 11, 10 to 12, I'm doing 2. From 12 to 2, I'm doing 3. From 2 to 4, I'm doing 4.
mhm,
And those are the only things I'm doing then.
Yeah, and if you
It's-
guys haven't ever heard of the Eisenhower matrix, I've been
Yes.
working on Mike with that because it's important, not important, urgent, not urgent, and it's really simple.
Mhm.
And then it's so if you Google it real quick, it's super easy. It's do, decide, delegate, and delete. And we're all in a small business, so delegating and deleting are hard to do, but it at least helps you sometimes set up even that timeline because you've determined what is both important and urgent or important
Mhm.
and not urgent,
Mhm.
Right.
so that you know where to fill them in to those
Yep.
spaces. And
Yep.
it forces you to think about what actually is now and what is actually, whether it's tomorrow or a week or 6 weeks down the road.
Mhm.
That is such a great tool. Such a great
Yeah.
tool.
Mhm.
It's easy to understand, like you just said, though it's hard to start putting what is the difference between important and urgent and which one
Yeah.
fits where.
Yeah,
Because
it is, because we're going round and
soon.
round about a task right now, and I'm like, oh, waiting on a
Yeah.
sample. He doesn't need the images today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, send them all in
Yeah.
a package. It's like, we're not gonna piecemeal this, like, oh,
No,
every time I get a piece of information, I'm gonna send it to you. It's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna wait till I
No.
have something substantial. And
Yeah.
then I'll send it to the client, as opposed to
Yeah.
like, hey, I just updated this, and it's like, no,
Yeah. All right.
that's a time killer. Because then you gotta formulate emails and like you gotta word the email. It's like, no.
Mhm.
So we're at the accountability time. Let's talk
All
about
right, Don, I'm sorry, I had to go. I
Okay,
have my
so-
12:30.
what can I
Oh.
hold you accountable for? 10 seconds.
You can hold me accountable for coming up with a more firm agenda for the next month with both my businesses.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Thanks. Appreciate you being here. How about you, Shirley? What can I hold you accountable for?
Completing, 100% completing my signature program.
What's the big thing you got to work on?
It's just one of the two of the last slides. I need to provide a little bit more context on leadership and things that I'm going to be talking about. Just like tools and techniques, basically.
Okay, perfect. Daryl?
Really, it's just being consistent with the focus and discipline, like leaving the cell phone back over there as opposed to next to me, because like Shirley was saying, sometimes it's just like, don't even realize it. But after I get done with a sentence or a paragraph, it's like reach. And it's like, it's like, what the hell? It's like, no. So keeping this thing away from me and possibly even getting rid of like the bookmarks on my browser. Like, so no more Facebook, no more LinkedIn, no more. It's like, if I really need to get into it, I'll sign into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But all that
Yeah.
convenience it's not good.
Yeah, yep. But last time you and I talked was in our values table when we finished in August, and you
Mhm.
talked about that. And within the hour, all of a sudden the thought popped in. I reached over for the phone. I was like, no.
Yep. It's like I'm not even controlling my own arm. It's like, what? Like, oh
Yep,
my God. Talk about like programming. Holy smokes. Like,
That's
no.
right. That's right. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Missy, wrap us up. What-
So I have two. One is to figure out how in all of the doc stuff will by craziness to make some time for 20 North Main.
Okay.
Okay. The second, and I'll take all the accountability I can take right now, because it's actually both of us. When we see each other in 2 weeks, ask me if I've quit smoking.
Mhm.
Ah, okay.
Yep. I gotta
gotta-
go through that again.
Again, always, again.
I was doing well for about 3 years, and I was like, "Ah, I don't even have any urges anymore or anything. I was like, oh, I can have one now. And it's like, I got sucked back into it. It's like,
Yep.
it ain't good.
We had a stress moment, a big one. And
Mhm.
we kept saying when Mike went to Walter Reed, we'd both quit because he wouldn't be able to smoke down there. Well, now he's not going.
Mm.
So
Yep.
it's like, okay, it's time to stop. Not to mention, along with everything else that's gotten more expensive, we
Mhm.
already smoke the most expensive cigarettes out there.
Mhm.
So they've gone up to, and it's $300 or $400 a month worth of expense
Yep.
we don't need.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Have you got a program that you guys both are following that's helping you get through that? And
Mike can cold turkey. I mean,
okay.
good old military ranger self-abuse is okay. I have to wean off, or actually I wind up with some significant depression. I tank out if I cut the nicotine too quick. So for me, the best thing I found are the mints, because the patches actually make me really queasy.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking if there's a
And trying
motivation.
not to and trying not to scream at each other. There
Yeah.
is some motivation that I can't share. I apologize. So
that's
there
all
is
right.
some motivation for it. So I do have a reason that's really pushed it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It's
I
one of
was
those
thinking
two personal kind of moments. So
that's okay.
that's good.
I was thinking if you're spending $400 a month, if you
Yeah,
decided to
that
say,
should be enough.
we're going to spend $100 of that, on this, we're going to take a vacation, we're going to buy this, we're going to go out to dinner, or we're going to reward ourselves, right? So now you're saving 300, but maybe that 100 becomes that motivation to say this is worth it.
Yeah.
Well, and there is probably a secondary motivation. We
Okay.
know how much the oil's going to cost this winter.
Mhm.
There you go. Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Got to have that.
And it's twice what it was last year,
Mhm.
which was twice what it was the year before.
Oh,
So the cost of oil, I know when I
Mhm.
lived in the South, and you two, at least, I don't know, Shirley, where you are, but we never thought about oil for heating. And I
Mhm.
always remember watching the news going, why is that such a big, no, I get it
Mhm.
now, because
Yeah.
it's so variable. And
Mhm.
last year I was running the fireplace in the house to not spend as much, and it's going to be twice as much this year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good one.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
So
Well, hey,
that's a big incentive.
I've got you 5 minutes over time. My
Yeah,
apologies.
sorry.
But great conversation today. I wanted to talk the values piece because I thought it was really important to business owners about how we make that. I think the distractions piece was really important. So I don't know, hopefully giving you some ideas.
Mhm.
So it's
Mhm.
all about you guys coming up. Don't just knock this off and say, I'll think about it in 2 weeks. But we're all struggling with distractions. So what are those things that's taking my time, and what action am I going to take
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
stop? And I want to hear about it in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And I
Sounds
will
like a
let Matt,
plan.
I'll let Matt know just in case I'm not here. But I'll talk to him about the organization piece so we can come back to that.
Sounds great.
Okay.
All right.
all right.
Y'all have a good couple
All right.
weeks.
You
Thanks,
too.
guys.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.